Even as the echoes of her laughter fade, the shadows of those painful collaborations linger in my mind. They shaped me, broke me a little, but ultimately set me free. When the world learned of Diane Keaton's quiet passing on October 11th, a wave of sorrow swept through the industry. But it was her last journal entries that truly stunned everyone. Pages where this iconic star poured out her regrets about 5 key figures from her past. Men whose actions left lasting scars, fueling her growth amid the heartache. These weren't just professional clashes, they were personal battles that tested her spirit. Who were they? And what drove the resentment that simmered for decades? Let's dive into her untold stories, one by one. First on that haunting list, the visionary filmmaker who commanded the set like a battlefield general. Back in the early 70s, Diane landed a part that changed everything. A quiet wife in a sprawling crime saga. It was her big break. But from day one, she felt out of her depth. She'd never even cracked open the source book, and the audition came without a full script in hand. In interviews, she later shared how terror gripped her, wondering why this intense director had picked her for such a weighty role. She saw herself as better suited to quirky comedies, not this deep, dramatic world. The production days dragged on in Chile locations, the air thick with unspoken rules. The director, sharp and focused, rarely offered praise or warmth. Conversations were sparse, limited to clipped instructions. When something fell short, Diane would replay those moments, feeling like an outsider in her own scenes, while her male co-stars commanded the spotlight with fiery monologues. Her character lingered on the edges, supportive but sidelined. She once hinted at suggesting more layers for her role, only to be met with a firm dismissal. Stick to the vision, no questions. As the trilogy unfolded over years, the pattern held. Even as a more established name, she faced the same rigid oversight. Sources from the set whispered about critiques that stung, calling her style too offbeat for the film's grave tone. It chipped away at her confidence, making her question her instincts. Why the initial faith in her? She wondered when trust felt so absent. Overheard chats about the story's corollaries, centering them and twisted like a dagger. Yet she recognized his brilliance, his kindness in fleeting glimpses. It wasn't outright malice, but a system that amplified her isolation. One chilly evening, after hours of takes, she mustered the courage to approach him about her character's arc. He brushed it off, lost in logistics, leaving her feeling erased. That silence vowed in her a quiet resolve. Never let anyone dim her light again. Looking back, her grudge extended beyond him to an industry that often boxed women in. Those films launched her, but they symbolized the quiet battles she fought off screen. The resentment faded into lessons, but the ache of being undervalued never fully vanished. What sparks your thoughts on such directing approaches? Now, shifting to a figure who blurred the lines between romance and rivalry, the charismatic force she both adored and resisted. Fresh off her breakout, Diane craved roles that let her shine independently. Then came this ambitious epic about revolution and desire, helmed by a multi-talented star who wore every hat. She stepped into the shoes of a bold writer caught in history's whirlwind, earning acclaim and nods for awards. But beneath the glory lay a storm of egos and emotions. From the outset, his presence dominated, pulling everyone into his orbit. She admired his drive, but it often crossed into overreach. dictating not just the film but her every nuance. Endless retakes chased his ideal vision, sometimes dozens in a row until her gaze aligned perfectly. She'd bite back exhaustion, understanding the quest for excellence, yet feeling it drain the raw magic from performances. In one heated exchange during a key dialogue, he interrupted to tweak her gesture. She paused, then challenged him softly. "Am I playing this woman? Or just echoing your fantasy?" The crew held their breath, but he pressed on without a word. Their off-screen bond mirrored the story's intensity. Fiery affection turning to friction under the lights. They shared years together, a mix of tenderness and tension, but whispers of a proposal she turned down hinted at deeper rifts. She valued her autonomy too much to yield. As time wore on, his need for control strained their connection, turning shared dreams into silent standoffs. When they teamed up again later on, a lighter project, the spark had dimmed, the film flopping like a faded memory, in reflections shared publicly. She spoke of learning that hearts and creativity can't be commanded. A poignant reunion at an awards event brought a hug and kind words, closing old wounds with mutual respect rather than reignited flame. Ultimately, it wasn't hatred that lingered, but regret over a love that couldn't balance power and freedom. Their paths diverged, leaving her wiser about the costs of entangled passions. If this story touches your heart, please share it. Turning to the third name. A comedic heavyweight whose antics crossed into outright disruption. By the 90s, Diane had solidified her status as a versatile force, seeking lighter fare after heavy dramas. A sci-fi romp about an unseen hero seemed like playful escapism, with her as the sharp-minded love interest. On the page, it promised laughs and wonder. Reality proved far harsher, thanks to her scene partner. He arrived as a faded king of humor, still clinging to his improvisational flair, but laced with unpredictability. Delays became routine. He'd stroll in late while she waited, script in hand, ready to dive in. During an intimate moment where her character bared her soul, he'd shatter the tension with a silly outburst, leaving her stranded emotionally. Crew Talise recall her frozen stance, fighting back frustration as the mood evaporated. His habit of ad-libbing lines mid-take threw her off balance, turning collaboration into chaos. When she politely asked for heads up on changes, he brushed it off with a chuckle. "Loosen up, it's all about the fun." She countered that true spark needs respect, not recklessness. The chill set in, with the director stepping in to mediate strange shoots. In private notes, she likened it to wrangling a kid, oblivious to the team's efforts. A casual jab in the makeup chair, teasing her seriousness, landed like an insult, prompting her to withdraw completely. From then on, interactions stuck strictly to the script. The movie tanked upon release, a flop that underscored the lost potential. She viewed it as a hard-won reminder: prioritize environments of mutual regard over any paycheck. No more tolerating egos that treat art like a game. The fourth entry brings us to a flashy Helmer whose spectacle drowned out substance. Mid-90s blockbuster mania drew her to A Caped Crusader tale. Curious about the vibrant chaos after years of introspective work, as a clever expert drawn into the hero's orbit, the part intrigued on paper, but the set was a whirlwind of excess blaring colors, elaborate gear, and a director fixated on flashover feeling. His bold persona clashed with her understated approach. He demanded exaggerated flair where she sought nuance. Suggestions for deeper beats were waved away, reshoot after reshoot chasing surface perfection. Long days under glaring lights left her questioning her place in this glossy machine. Her co-stars' aloofness amplified the isolation. Their shared moments lacking genuine connection. Whispers of favoritism toward the lead's image stung, echoing old patterns of marginalization. Alone in her trailer, she'd ponder if she'd chased shine over substance. Snide comments about her gravitas not fitting the fun vibe deepened the hurt, stripping her of input. Yet she powered through, emerging determined to reclaim her path. The hit's success felt hollow. She stepped back, rediscovering joy in personal pursuits before returning on her terms. It reaffirmed that true glow comes from within, not artificial dazzle. Finally, the fifth, a driven leading man whose intensity bordered on indifference. Late 80s brought a biting comedy about marital meltdown, appealing to her with its sharp wit. As equals in a crumbling union, the dynamic promised raw exploration, but her partner's competitive edge turned it into an off-screen ordeal. He approached scenes like conquests, pushing for brutal authenticity through endless repeats. In a destructive rampage sequence, her exhaustion mounted as takes piled up, his calm calls for more, ignoring her strain. Breaks offered no solace. His gaze carried a subtle superiority that belittled her efforts. Private jotings captured her wariness. "This isn't partnership, it's a contest I never entered." Avoidance became her shield. Interactions minimal amid the growing frost. A mishap during a perilous stunt met with casual dismissal, blurred fiction and fact, leaving her bruised in body and spirit. Rap brought relief, the film's acclaim bittersweet. She emerged valuing harmony over conflict, steering towards stories of empowerment. It taught her to guard her peace in an often unforgiving arena. As her chapter closed that October day, the industry paused in reverence. Tributes poured in, celebrating a trailblazer who defied norms, raised in a creative home. She chased dreams from stage to screen, earning accolades that cemented her place. Yet she stayed grounded, embracing her eccentric style as armor against superficiality. Beyond acting, she created, captured moments through, and nurtured a family that filled her world. In her final days, surrounded by simple joys, she embodied quiet strength. Her unfinished works hinted at more wisdom to share, but her body of roles, flawed, fierce women, mirrored her essence. Those 5 figures, through their trials, forged her,